Hey friends, welcome back to Real Estate Investing for Life. I am so glad that you're here. I'm here fresh off a conference I went to last week, which don't change the channel, guys, if you're listening to this. It was a conference for midlife women who want to live their best lives ever. It was so good. But the reason I'm bringing that up is one, if you're a midlife woman, I'll have to hook you up with this conference. Two, I learned way more than I thought I would about our financial piece of our lives. See, I thought I was going just to learn how to do more weight-bearing exercises and to increase my nutritional content, all that good stuff that's really important. But there was actually a couple of great sessions on our financial lives. And it got me to thinking about a lot of the people that I work with that are high income earners that want to make investments. And there really are some fundamental, and I came up with 5 fundamental things that everyone should analyze and discover for themselves before making that first investment. And it's really important. It's not something we can just skip over, because I've seen some real estate investors get in over their skis and ultimately lose those investments. And I do not want that for you. The very first tip that I have for you is to make sure that you have clarity on your cash flow. The thing about high income and even a successful business is they can mask a lot of flaws or cracks in our financial armor. We shouldn't have a rough idea of what we make and what we spend. We really need to have clarity. I'm guilty of this as well. What's coming in each month after taxes is something you really want to analyze. What's going out, what's actually left over. And because what I see is a lot of high income earners assume they have more available to invest than they actually do. And if they're an employee, a lot of times they're looking at that gross amount they make and not taking into account all they're putting away for that long-term retirement and all the taxes that are taken out, plus all the medical HSA expenses and all the things, right? And the other thing that happens is lifestyle expands, and that money that's needed to maintain our lifestyle every month just tends to creep up. And suddenly there's not as much margin as there really should be. And I've had this in the past. I will be very open that I've made an investment once that I had to cut off early before it maximized its final potential because I needed that short-term cash flow. And I'm here to help you avoid doing so if at all possible. Because here's what happens when you invest with pressure. You tend to overstretch. You can make emotional decisions. You might find yourself selling in a panic, and you'll feel stress instead of confidence. And that's not how you should be building your wealth. The second thing that you definitely want to check and make sure that you have is a fully funded emergency reserve. It's not exciting. You've heard radio gurus say that for the last 30 years, but an emergency fund is a true and real thing that makes financial sense. At a minimum, you're going to want to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses. If you own a business, you may want more than that. If you're self-employed, I would say closer to 6 to 12. As a realtor, I know a lot of fellow realtors are living paycheck to paycheck. And if that commission check doesn't come in and you have a mortgage payment due for a rental property that's not filled, that can be a quick disaster. So we want to make sure if you're self-employed, you've got 6 to 12 months of emergency funds so that you can sleep well at night. We need this so much because without this, every unexpected expense becomes an issue, let alone a job change, a big medical situation, a big home repair, car repair. And what happens in that situation is oftentimes that person is forced to pull money out of investments, take on bad debt, or make reactive decisions. And this is a place that we are investing to create wealth and abundance later on and long term. We're not here to add stress to your daily life. So having that emergency fund is going to really take care of that problem. It allows your investments to do what they're meant to do, and that is to grow with time. The third thing that I want you to be aware of and need to have in place before making that investment is to have control of your high interest or consumer debt. That's a biggie. You know, a lot of people, they live their lives by controlling what the monthly payments are going to be, whether it's the monthly payments on an expensive car lease or whether it's a monthly payment on a high load of credit card debt, or whether it is taking on that master's degree and what your student account is going to be, what you owe every month for your student debt. Not all debt is bad. I absolutely am a believer in the right kind of leverage debt, but high interest or consumer debt is a different situation, and that's what will quietly erode your wealth. I know there's exceptions if you're a business owner and have a truck that you lease for your company through your company, or you're taking a full deduction on SUV. There are definitely exceptions, but I'm talking about normal consumer debt can eat up your life. And we could do a little scenario. I'm not prepared with a calculator to do it right now, but imagine if you had a $1,000 a month bad debt payment or consumer debt payment compared to taking that $1,000 a month and plunging that into a wonderful passive investment. It is going to make millions of dollars in your net worth down the road. I'll have to do that calculation. I don't have it in front of me, but it just popped into my head because I think it's really powerful, and you look at the difference. And you really need to be paying attention to that, because if you're paying anything more than a mortgage interest rate on any of that debt, you're essentially getting a negative return. And that's really, really hard to invest out of that. So it's not about being debt free at all costs, it's being free of the debt that's just going to hurt you down the road. So the fourth thing that I want you to have in place is access to liquidity and lending. And I'm going to say this, even if you're planning for various reasons to go into an investment, which is a silent investment where you're just putting in cash, or if you're going to a situation where you're buying a tangible like rental property with all cash, you still want to have these options, which is access to liquidity and lending, because this is where we start to get strategic. And this is something that sophisticated investors understand really well. Even if you have a whole interest in a property and have it completely paid off, imagine the opportunity you have if you have the ability to refinance it and pull some of that money out of that investment. I've done that multiple times, had paid off cash flowing rental properties, taken a HELOC out, pulled out that money and put it into another property. It's really powerful once you understand it. Most successful investors do not rely solely on cash. They build access, and this could look like a HELOC, a line of credit, strong relationships with lenders, and really knowing your borrowing capacity is really, really important. And it's something that you want to know ahead of time. Even if you're paying cash for a property, I want you to know your options so that if something did happen, you're not into a situation where you have to sell that property, but you can certainly take out smart leverage to be able to hold on to that asset and deploy your capital elsewhere. Liquidity really, it just gives you optionality, which is everything in real estate, especially in a market where we don't always trust everything about what's going on in it. Optionality is incredibly valuable in investing. The fifth thing that I really want you to have in place before you go out and grab that first investment property is honestly one of the most important, and that's a clear investment strategy, because there's so much available out there, and you don't just want an interest in a strategy or curiosity in a strategy. You need to know what your goals are, and you need actual clarity. You want to know, are you focused on cash flow, or are you looking for long-term appreciation and long-term equity growth? Do you want to be active? Do you have a little bit more time on your hands, or do you need it to be completely passive? Are you buying rentals, or are you just interested in investing in a syndication or a fund where somebody else does the heavy lifting for you? There's not a right or wrong answer here. Both are great conversations to have, and an answer is going to be, it depends, based on your clarity for your goals and what you're looking to achieve. You're also going to want to look at your time horizon, because that's going to take a meaningful place in consideration on what you want to do. Because without this, what you'll do is there's something in real estate called the shiny object syndrome. And you keep seeing things out there that are cooler and cooler and more creative strategies. And you chase those shiny objects. And instead of getting all of them, sometimes you wind up with none of them because you have analysis paralysis and you've looked at too many things and you can't decide what's right for you. So start with the strategy and the goals, and then we can help you get into the right vehicle. I see it all the time, guys, and it can create a crash, believe me. So we want to get that strategy right and that clarity. And if you do wind up purchasing deals over time, it can create a very scattered portfolio and unnecessary risk. You'll have time to branch out later on if you want to, but let's make sure we get super hyper focused with those first investments and make sure that it's matching with your strategy and your goals. When you have clarity, what happens is you don't chase all over the place, you filter, and that really changes everything. So if we zoom out, here are the 5 things. Once again, just to wrap this up, there's 5 things that you need to have in place before you invest in your first real estate investment. The first one is clarity on your cash flow, your personal cash flow, i.e. budget. Second, a solid emergency reserve. Third, control of your debt. Fourth, access to liquidity, access to an opportunity to leverage, right? And then number 5 is a clear investment strategy. And so what I would say is before you invest in real estate or anything, make sure your financial life can support the investment, not be stressed by it. Nobody wants that, and it's not a positive outcome for everybody. With these things in place, you can go forward confidently and make that first investment with ease, because the goal isn't just to invest, it's to invest in a way that feels right for you, feels stable, and ultimately gives you that long-term success and ability to create wealth beyond your normal retirement funds. Guys, I hope this has been helpful. If you think that going further and learning about really how to get clarity on what that first investment is and how to take action, then you may be interested in my Real Estate Wealth Accelerator. I'm running a very small beta program in the coming months to work with people specifically on how to create their first real estate investment with ease and with success. You can go to idahoreen.com/wealth and go ahead and sign up, and you'll get all the details when it opens up. You guys, thanks so much for listening. Go and grow. Have an amazing day, and we'll catch you on the next episode.